Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll go ahead and get started with our pre-health shadowing intro slides as we allow students to continue joining. Thank you again for joining. My name is Nina, and I am the founder and CEO of Pre-Health Shadowing, and I am excited to host another virtual shadowing session with Pre-Health Shadowing, a pre-health focused nonprofit organization with a mission to provide flexible and accessible opportunities for students during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. We do have closed captioning to accommodate students of all abilities and needs. If you have any ideas about how we can be more accessible, please email us at info@prehealthshadowing.com. Additionally, if you'd like to never miss a session, you can join the Pre-Health Shadowing newsletter, as well as save us as a contact on your email so that all of your emails go straight to the inbox and skip the promotions folder. If you would like to stay in the loop, Pre-Health Shadowing does have social media. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Pre-Health Shadowing. Since we host students from all over, I'm interested in learning, where are you calling from? Feel free to drop it in the chat. I'm currently calling from California in the United States. Alrighty, well, if you're interested in being a part of the Pre-Health Shadowing team, we are currently recruiting for a lot of different positions. Feel free to visit our website, www.prehealthshadowing.com, to learn more information. The time commitment is about 5 to 8 hours on a weekly basis for leadership team members. And if you're interested in just volunteering your time, you can join us for a minimum of 1 hour per month and helping us with professional outreach, fundraising, and more. We do have various roles, as I mentioned, and these aren't necessarily just pre-health focused. If you have other interests such as, technology, applying to grants, relevant to research, fundraising, video productions, interested in research, recruitment, diversity and inclusion, editorials and writing, and more. So if you are interested, this is a little glimpse of what our website looks like on our application. I encourage you to visit this link below for more information. If you are in high school, we are also recruiting for our HTP program. HTP is a program that allows students to create pre-health shadowing clubs on their various high school campuses across the US. So if you are interested in potentially establishing a club at your high school, pre-health shadowing club, and bringing pre-health shadowing to students during the school day, I encourage you to check out the application form for this as well. If you're looking to get published, Pre-Health Shadowing has a blog where we host articles, reflections, reviews of shadowing sessions, and success stories. If you are interested in getting published, you can feature this on your resume, your CV, and even your LinkedIn profile. I encourage you to check out this link below. If you are able to donate, we humbly ask that you scan this QR code and help us out. We are completely free to students worldwide and are working to fight inequity in health education and promote diversity in the various healthcare fields. Please support our mission in keeping this program free and accessible to everyone. Everyone currently in this program is a volunteer, including myself. I volunteer time to grow the mission of this organization. So please help us keeping our website up and all of our platforms going for all students worldwide. Throughout the duration of today's session, you can type your questions in the chat. The Q&A portion of today's session will happen during the second half, and we will be able to answer those questions. So feel free, this is your time to connect with our professional and get your questions answered. I do encourage everyone to take good notes because at the end of today's virtual shadowing session, all students are able to take what is called a post-shadowing assessment, which will earn them a digital certificate that verifies your hours through pre-health shadowing today. And you can take this at the course page on the pre-health shadowing website, and we will go into detail at the end of today's shadowing session. So please be sure to stick around if you're interested in obtaining that certificate. If you're able to, I'd like to request that you can turn your camera on. This makes it a fun environment for everyone participating. We know it's not always possible, but if it is for you today, please do so. And without further ado, I would like to welcome to you our professional for today. We are honored to have Dr. Janette Pepper. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So feel free, the floor is yours and you may begin whenever you're ready.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and, hello everyone. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and we can get started, okay? Oh, I gotta switch. And I always gotta swap display settings. All right, hello everyone. My name is Dr. Janette Pepper. I am an optometrist. And so I'm very grateful for the pre-health shadowing organization to take time to ask me to speak to you about being an optometrist or just being in the eye care profession, period. I'm really excited about that. So I am currently an associate professor at Southern College of Optometry, which is located in Memphis, Tennessee. And I saw that someone is from Memphis, Tennessee. So hey, from Memphis. It's good to have you on the call. So let's get started. Just a little bit about me. I'm actually from Southern Illinois, and I'm from a really small town, to be honest. My town was about 750 people. I grew up on a farm, so I'm basically a country girl. And when I was in school, we didn't have the option for AP courses. So it was a small school. We didn't even have a football team. So we were pretty small. And so I actually went to the local community college, Shawnee Community College, and I took night classes while I was in high school. That was the way I got college credits in high school. Okay. So then after that, I went on to Truman State University and I received a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology. And then I went on and got a minor in biology at that time. So Truman is in Northeast Missouri. And then I stayed in Missouri and I went on to the University of Missouri St. Louis College of Optometry. I received my Doctor of Optometry degree, and then I decided I wanted to do a residency. So I did my residency in Pediatric Optometry, and I did that here at Southern College of Optometry. After I finished my residency, they hired me. So I actually now teach students how to do pediatric eye exams, right? Because you can't really ask a baby which is better, one or two. So you have to have other techniques to figure out if the child can see and if their vision is optimal, right? So on top of all of that I do here at the college, I have also done recruiting and for applicants. So I will go to different schools and colleges in the southeastern part of the country to recruit students in different colleges for optometry. And then the last thing that was added on to my work is I'm also the coordinator for diversity and inclusion here at the college as well. So my goal is once we recruit them here, do we make sure that we make them feel welcome and that they are a part of our SCO community. So that's a little bit about me. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about optometry. Okay, so this is Southern College of Optometry. We are, like I said, located in Memphis, Tennessee. We are just these two buildings here and then the building back there. Okay, so this is our educational tower. This is our eye clinic. Okay, it's over 70 eye exams. And then back here is our educational auditoriums and stuff like that. So we are a singular subject private school. So that means all we do is optometry, okay? We're not affiliated with any other university. We have approximately 500 to 600 students total in our classes, okay? Just to give you a little, I guess, pretense or where we are in Memphis. Right behind here is Methodist Central Hospital. If you can see a little UT there. It's the University of Tennessee Health Sciences Center Teaching Research Hospital. So we're located in the medical district of Memphis. So we're less than a mile from the med school, dental school, farm school, PT school, nursing school, occupational therapy school. So they're all really housed together. So that just gives you an idea of where we are located. This is one eye clinic. So it's one of the largest eye clinics in the nation. Okay, so we see a lot of patients. All right, and so our students get a really good broad education once they get out of, once they graduate from optometry school. So what do optometrists do exactly, right? Like usually people, when they think of optometrists, they say they just do glasses and contact lenses. And I'll be honest with you, when I decided to do optometry, I thought it was just glasses and contact lenses. And it wasn't until I got into optometry school that I was like, whoa, this is so much more than glasses and contact lenses, okay? And so using your Zoom features, if you can you all raise your hand to let me know how many of you have been to the eye doctor before? Okay, we got a couple of them. So Aaliyah, Ahan, is it, I don't know how to say the last name, I don't want to get it wrong. I know it's Shell, but I don't know how to say that name, but okay. The others have not had an eye exam. Okay, so, or you just didn't want to participate, either or, that's perfectly fine. I will say this, those of you that have had an eye exam, or those of you that wear glasses or contact lenses, you know what it's like to be able to see, and you know what it's like not to be able to see, right? Well, what we do is we help patients to enhance their quality of life, to make sure vision is on point for them, okay? Not being able to see is not fun. Okay, especially when you know what it's like to be able to see. So our patients are happy to come and see us, okay? And we are able to make sure that the eyes are not only that they have good sight, but their visual system is healthy as well. So again, we enhance quality of life. So are you nearsighted, farsighted, or both? Well, how do we tell if you're nearsighted or farsighted, or even both, right? Well, let's talk about it. What optometrists do is a thing called retinoscopy, okay? And so with retinoscopy, all it is we use a instrument here. This is called a retinoscope. We shine it into the light, the hole here with the lenses and stuff in it. This whole instrument here is called a phoropter, right? And when we shine a light into it, we see this, okay? And so all we do is we move that retinoscope from side to side. And what we're trying to see is, does the light move with our lens or with our retinoscope, or does it move in the opposite direction? So this is simulated right over here, meaning that in the pupil, does the light move with it, okay? Or when we move it this way, does the light move the opposite way, okay? So we're looking for with movement and against movement. If we look inside of there and it's just bright and full, that just means that it's neutralized. And so that lets us know that we're at the exact power, okay? That's the light that's reflecting back off of the retina. So this with movement for optometrists, it usually means that they're farsighted. Against movement for optometrists usually means that they're nearsighted. So that's how we determine if you actually have a prescription or not. So if you've ever heard of someone going to the eye doctor and faking that they can't see, we can usually tell if you need a prescription or not, okay? That's the one way I do pediatric eye exams, because since the baby can't tell me which is better, one or two, I just scope them to see if they have a prescription or not, and we go from there, okay? So that's basically how optometrists help you to see. We can do the full eye exam where we click the thing and ask you which is better, 1 versus which is better, 2. But that's subject dependent. And so if we don't want to do that, then we will do objective testing where we rely on just the examination results and not the patient. So we also, I don't know, those of you that do have had an eye exam, you may have been dilated. And so this is what a undilated pupil looks like, and this is what a dilated pupil looks like, okay? So what we do is we dilate this pupil so that we can see in the back of the eye, okay? And so one thing about optometry or eye care in general is that it's one of the only professions that you can see inside of the body without cutting the body open, okay? And so what we see when we dilate that eye is we really can't see the lens. The lens is a clear structure unless there's a cataract. If there's a cataract there, that means there's an opacity in the clear lens. We can see that, but we can't usually see the lens. If we don't see anything, the lens is doing great, right? But you have the front part of your eye, you have your iris, which gives you your color, you have your lens that's hard to see, and then all the way back here, we have your retina, okay? And so this is what a retina looks like when we dilate your eyes, okay? This is what we look for, okay? And so the orange that you see here is the retina. That's where the photoreceptors, the rods and the cones are, and they all converge into this one point called the optic nerve, okay? This optic nerve is what's connected to the brain, right? So if there's something going on in the brain, sometimes it can be expressed in the optic nerve. So for example, if there's swelling in the brain, sometimes the optic nerve swells, okay? So it gives us a glimpse of what's going on inside of the body. When they tell you that the eyes are the window to the body or to the soul, yes, both, right? Right here, we have the macula. This is the area where you see 20/20, okay? So if something's wrong in this area, it's really hard to see 20/20, okay? I talked about the optic nerve, and then we have the blood vessels, okay? The darker blood vessel is the vein. The lighter blood vessel is the artery, okay? And so artery, vein, right? So we are able to look at if there's any vascular diseases, we can tell inside of the body, right? So that means that anything that affects the blood vessels, so that would be diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, anything of those nature, like sickle cell, anything that's a blood-borne blood vessel disease, we can detect it. We can see the progression or the stabilization of it inside of the eye, all right? So if a patient comes to us and their blood sugar is really high, then there will be signs inside of the eye that says the blood sugar is high. How amazing is that, right? I didn't realize this before I got into optometry school, that we can actually tell when patients progress in their diabetes, okay? So, or patients that have high blood pressure, we can see that as well. What happens with the veins or with arteries, they swell and they get really constricted, So it looks very characteristic or very interesting to see high blood pressure characteristics inside of the eye or what have you, okay? So this is how we are able to tell. This is why it's so important to be dilated each year, okay? So what I'm showing you here are diseased eyes, okay? So right here is an eye that has high cholesterol in it, okay? So we see the high lipid fatty concentration right here. That is not good, right? And then over here is an eye that has diabetes, okay? So because the blood has a lot of sugar in it, the eye is actually getting starved of oxygen because the blood isn't flowing because it's sticky because of all of the sugar. So it's getting attached to different things and stuff like that. And so the white spots are areas where blood is needed. The hemorrhage spots here are areas where the veins tried, or the vessels tries to give oxygen, and the vessel basically busted. And so there you have the hemorrhages there and stuff like that. And you can see here, part of that macula is affected. So this patient's vision is probably affected, right? So those are the sorts of things that we look at to make sure that patients are healthy, all right? So this is one thing that patients come to us and they're surprised that we can discern different eye diseases and stuff. Different body diseases just by looking inside of their eyes. Other things that optometrists do besides the ocular disease portion or the systemic disease portion of eye care is we enhance how patients look. So sometimes patients come in and their cornea has had trauma, and so then it's scarring and everything. And of course, as people, we automatically look at the abnormality, and so it makes the person that has that particular abnormality look a little subconscious, right? So what we do is we make sure that the patient is able to feel a little bit more confident. So over here, we didn't fix the eye, right? It's hard to fix that. What we did was, and they can't see either because it's so opacified. What we did was we took a picture of this eye and hand painted a contact lens to match it. So when you put this contact lens in, you cannot tell that that patient can't see out of that eye. They look more asymmetrical. So it gives that patient a little bit more confidence as they go through life. The same thing with this patient here. They had a traumatic event to occur. So they took a picture of this eye and hand painted a contact lens for that patient to use so that they can feel more or feel less self-conscious about their eye. We also make cross eyes straight. We can some cross eyes anyway. So I told you all I work in pediatrics. So this is a patient who has the eye that's turned in. We call that esotropia, okay? And so what we can do is we can help this patient gain straight eyes without surgery, okay? Now, not every patient who has an eye turn is a candidate for surgery, right? So if they aren't a candidate for surgery, then we are more than happy to work with the patient and the parent in doing different eye activities to help both eyes go straight, okay? So that is pretty phenomenal because parents come to us pretty scared and really want what's best for their child. And so sometimes the invasive aspect of eye care, they're not as ready to go there, so to speak. So when that happens, we are able to do this for them and they're pleased with the results. The other things we can do is we have an area of optometry called vision therapy, which is actually what we have here is sports therapy, right? So with sports vision therapy, what we do is we train different athletes on how to use their eyes better as a team. Now, what we're doing here is trying to give them a competitive advantage over their opponent. So those things we'll do is eye-hand coordination activities, reaction time activities, peripheral awareness activities, all these sorts of things to help them to gain an edge over their opponent there, all right? So since we're located in Memphis, Tennessee, we are the official eye care provider for the University of Memphis. And so we have done different sports vision assessments for their athletes. We've even done that at Christian Brothers University, which is a small private college here in Memphis, and at Rhodes College, which is another small private college here, liberal arts college. So the other thing is that your eyes can fool you, right? All right, so I want you all to put into the chat, what do you see here? Okay, and I don't know if it would be Nina or Georgia who would tell me what they see. So type in what you see here, okay? A woman looking back, a woman with her back turned, okay? Anyone else? A lady, okay. Side of a woman's face, yeah. Anybody else? Maybe a flower, okay. That's the thing. There are several things here, right? And your eyes can see it, but it's your brain that actually processes this information, okay? And so what is so cool is that you all are right. There is a woman there with her head turned, and there's also the side of a woman's face as well. Now the flower, I'm not gonna say the flower isn't there. I just don't see the flower. My brain won't let me see the flower because I've seen this so many times. I just see an old woman and a younger woman, okay? So that is just a thing that we try to make sure that the health of the eye is good, right? But where vision actually occurs is in the back of the brain. So if you have a traumatic brain injury or a concussion, that can affect how the brain processes this information, right? So also what we can do in vision therapy is to help patients who have had those injuries to make sure that their visual system is processing the information appropriately, okay? So that is something that's pretty cool about the brain and how it processes information. So this is a little bit more about sports or vision therapy and sports vision. This is actually a former student of mine, and she's doing what we call Brock string. And so she's putting the string right here at her nose, and I'm having her to look at the red bead, right? And what she's seeing is when she's looking at the red bead, she's seeing one red bead here, but all the other beads is going to be double, right? And it's just a picture or something that is indicative of where our eyes are pointing and then how the rest of the world looks when we're looking at where our eyes should be pointing at and stuff, okay? So that's what we have there. And then here, this is a day in my life, right? So you wanted to know, what is it like to be an optometrist? Well, because I am in education or in academia, I have two different facets of my life. Well, several facets of my life, to be honest with you. But so we have here, I'm teaching students how to do some of the techniques in the vision therapy lab that I teach, okay? And then over here, I'm actually seeing a patient, right? So this is me examining this little girl, and I am assessing the front part of her eye, okay, to make sure that all those structures are there and that they're healthy. We usually have a device called a slit lamp that allows us, and it's basically a microscope that allows us to see the front structures of the eye and inside of the eye. But because she's so small, I can't get her inside the slit lamp. So I used a magnifying lens to assess the health of her eyes. And just looking from right here, her eyes are perfect, right? So I teach students how to do this as well, right? So that's kind of what my life is like on the clinical side. I told you I also do diversity and inclusion at the college. So I'm also speaking with students, making sure they're comfortable, making sure that they are getting the resources and stuff that they need. So for example, we have Muslim students here. And so I made sure during, and this is Ramadan, right? So we made sure that the campus community understood that during Ramadan, they do not eat or drink during while the sun is up. Okay, so from sunrise to sunset, they may have, they may be tired or fatigued or just thirsty. So we sent that out to the campus community so that if they have students who are practicing Muslims and are participating in Ramadan, then if they seem a little fatigued, you'll know why. Okay, so I do that sort of thing. So it's kind of a full scope of what I do. All right, so what is an optometrist? An optometrist is someone who diagnoses and manages eye diseases, okay, and helps to maintain the visual health of patients. How is this different from an optician or an ophthalmologist, right? Well, let's talk about the O's. So they're all in eye care, all right? And optometry is kind of in the middle. You have an ophthalmologist who goes to medical school and then does a residency and a fellowship. And that fellowship is usually in ophthalmology, all right? That's going to take several years, right, outside of undergrad. So usually it's like 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of med school, 3 to 4 years for residency, and 3 to 4 years for fellowship, right? So we're basically looking at up to 12 years out of high school to be an ophthalmologist. Ophthalmologists are the ones who are known for eye surgery, okay? So they are the ones who do LASIK, or if you have a cataract, they take those out, or even like the patient that had the eye turn, they can do eye turn surgeries. We call those strabismus surgeries. That's what ophthalmologist does, okay? Then you have optometry. With optometrists, you do 4 years of undergrad, but you do 4 years of optometry school, okay? And then you have a 1 year option for residency. You don't have to do a residency if you don't want to. So from high school, you have up to 8 to 9 years before you start practicing. The 9th year is if you decide to do a residency or not. In optometry, about a third of our students decide to do residencies. Okay, so that just gives you an idea of that. Lastly, you have, but not least, is opticians. So opticians actually have a certification program. I think it's about 18 months. And they're the ones who help with the fitting of glasses, the fitting of contact lenses. They make sure that your glasses fit your face, all those sorts of things, okay? Sometimes they can determine your prescription in some states, and sometimes they can't, depending on the state policies or laws that they have. But I will tell you that all three professions work together to make sure that you have the best eye care possible, right? Sometimes you'll see practices that have the optometrist and the ophthalmologist working together, all right? With optometry, we're the ones that do your prescriptions and we assess the front part of the eye. I tell people usually that if you get pink eye, if you go to me or an ophthalmologist, we'll give you the same drugs, do the same treatment, right? The biggest difference is if you come to me and say, hey, Dr. Pepper, I want to do LASIK. I can assess your vision to see if you're a candidate for LASIK, but then I have to send you out to the ophthalmologist, okay? Because I'm not trained in LASIK, all right? So that's basically how it works, okay? And so why should you think about optometry as a career option or eye care as a career option? Well, one, if you wear glasses or contact lenses and you know what it's like to be able to see and know what it's like not to be able to see, that's a win-win there, right? You know how much vision means to you. But then also, eye care professionals have a pretty good quality of life, right? We're respected. We don't have, I know in optometry, and I think so in ophthalmology as well, our stress level for our patients may not be as stressful as some other other healthcare professions, okay? There are not as many eye-threatening, sight-threatening, life-threatening conditions out there, right? So even though I do have some patients I interact with their eyes, it can be life or death. For the most part, it's not life or death. So because of that, our stress level is a little bit lower, and our malpractice insurance is a little bit cheaper, okay? So that's a huge, huge, huge plus, right? And for the optometry side, It's about approximately 4 less years than a ophthalmologist. All right. So if you want to start practicing and you're not sure if you're going to want to go to school for as long as it requires to become an ophthalmologist, then you do optometry if you're interested in eye care. I have had, so sometimes I do student applicant interviews, and I have asked students, why did they choose optometry? And some of them flat out said, because I didn't want to go to school as long. So that's definitely an option out there for you. All right. So there, and then the other thing is how much we get paid, right? So optometrists get paid pretty well, but ophthalmologists get paid really well. So there's give and take, I guess, with that as well. All right. So we'll talk about the pay in just a moment. So the different specialties in optometry. So we have primary care, that's seeing everybody from 1 to 100. You have ocular disease, and we talked about the disease earlier today. You have doctors who only do ocular disease, right? And they're sometimes practicing with ophthalmologists. You have optometrists who only do contact lenses, all right? And of course, I'm a pediatric optometrist, as I said, and I also do vision therapy, so I'm a vision therapist. But there's also vision rehab / low vision. So low vision is for patients who have ocular disease in which we haven't been able to cure that particular ocular disease. So we teach them to utilize parts of their retina that is healthy so that they can still function and do the daily activities that they wish to do. Okay, so all of these things you can do residencies in to be a specialist in those particular areas. Now, where do we actually practice? We everywhere, okay? So private practice, where you own your own entity, group practice, where it's a group of optometrists or a group of optometrists / ophthalmologists practicing together, commercial practice. So those are your Walmart opticals, your lens crafters, your Target opticals, that's a commercial practice. We're in community health centers. We are in hospitals, regular hospitals, and Veterans Administration hospitals or VA hospitals. We are in the military, academia, corporate America. So you have optometrists who work at Johnson & Johnson, who work at different health related corporate entities to give them information about the eye care side of things. All right. And then also just with consulting and stuff like that. So the options for optometrists is so vast, right? Next, we have what does it take to be an optometrist, right? So you can be any major you wish in undergrad, and you do not have to be a science major to be an optometrist. The only thing we require is that you take the prereqs, all right? So the prereqs are very similar to other health professions in that you do a year of biology, a year of chemistry, a year of physics, microbiology, biochem, that sort of thing, okay? So it's very, very similar. There is an optometry admissions test. It's called the OAT. What you want to make sure when you're an undergrad is that you're doing things like this, such as shadowing and getting experience in eye care to make sure that this is what you really want to do, okay? Then there's 4 years of optometry school and then the option of a residency. So that's what it takes. So what can you do now? Like we already talked about shadows, since you're already doing your virtual shadowing, that's awesome. Talk to your own personal eye doctor, okay? Ask them about why did they become an optometrist and would they recommend the career? All of those questions and stuff, just to get a glimpse of, is this something that you would really like to do? Maybe even ask if you could shadow in their practice, that sort of thing. I know during COVID, shadowing was not allowed, but since things are kind of opening up a little bit more, you may be able to shadow in person. But you can just see. We also we're connected with the Lions Club. The Lions Club is an organization that works to get glasses to the underserved. So that is a fantastic way to not only serve your community, but get eye experience as well. And then there's a thing called Unite for Sight, where they do different races and stuff to raise money for vision. And they also do mission trips. Okay, so that's just something you can keep in mind on stuff that you can do now to make your decision easier regarding if eye care is something that is for you or not. Okay. All right. So we have a pop quiz, right? All right. So I want you to use your chat function. Okay. And what I want you to do is I want you to tell me what is this circular structure right here that we talked about, that we said all of the cells of the retina come to? Just type it into the chat, okay? Yes, optic nerve. Thank you, Moment. I will ask, let me answer Parsa's question real quick. Is the optometry student loan taken for optometry school comparable to the salary after graduation? The student loan indebtedness for an average optometry student at Southern College of Optometry is about anywhere between 130 and 140,000. Okay. The entering optometrist rate ranges anywhere from 110 to 150. So it is pretty comparable. All right. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to point to this dark red structure here. All right, what is this? We only had two choices, right? Which one we think it is? It is a blood vessel. Which one you think it is? Nobody want to guess this one? Vein. Yeah, the dark one is the vein. So that means the light one is the artery. Yes, dark red is the vein. Absolutely. Thanks, Aaliyah, and thanks, Moment. Appreciate it. And so the next thing we have is what Aaliyah already talked about. And which one is this? It's the macula, right? Yes, that's where we see 20/20 and stuff. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a Kahoot. Okay. So I'm going to exit out of this and I'm going to pull up, my Kahoot. And we are going to do that one together. Okay. So I'm going to start this. So those of you, hopefully you've done Kahoots before and you kind of know how it goes. Classic mode. So it's going to load the game pin. You're going to join, either you have the Kahoot app or you're going to join at 689-1725. Okay. And so you just put in either your initials or your name, however you want to be identified, and we will go from there. Okay. So let's do this Kahoot. Oh, shoot. Let me stop share and redo this again. There we go. That's better. Okay, so now you should have the Kahoot. All right, we got Betty, Aaliyah, oh, I'm going to adjust that volume too. So it's join at www.kahootit, and then it is 689-1725. Okay, good to see you, Georgia. DS. Parsa, great. Alhan or Alhan. All right, so I have 6. Does anyone else want to join? I don't want to stop it before everyone has had a chance to join and stuff. So, all right, we got Moment. Okay, so, I was about to stop. So, hey, Laba, or is it Labia? Or I might have said it wrong. I apologize, okay? But I think I'm gonna go with the 8 that we have here, all right? And we can make it happen, okay? So let's get started. All right, so it's gonna be a multiple choice. Name one career besides music that does not require vision. I don't know, medical transcriptionist, bus driver, construction worker. You have 7 seconds. All right, y'all, I don't know. All of these usually require vision, okay? The reason why I gave you credit, regardless of what you answered, I wanted you to realize that there are so many careers that require you to see, okay? And so we are needed, right? This is not a profession where it's gonna like go out of style or it's not needed anymore, right? Like people are going to want to be able to see. So eye care is one of those fields that's basically job security, okay? All right, let's go to the next question. All right, so Moment is first, Parsa, DS, Georgia, and Betty. All right, let's keep it moving. Optometry is only about glasses and contact lenses, true or false? False, exactly. Good job. Just gotta be fast. Good, good, good. I see you, DS. Oh, wait a minute. DS and Parsa are tied. That's awesome. This is just like alphabetical. That's why DS is first. Fantastic. Here we go. Have you ever experienced headaches while reading, words going double while reading, words move on the page or screen? You try to go to the next line while you're reading and end up reading the same line. Yeah, so let's talk about this, right? So this is where we can find symptoms of someone that may benefit from vision therapy. Now, let's imagine that there's a person who experiences all of these and they're 8 years old, right? And third grade is the year where students not just learn how to read, but read to learn. So if you are 8 years old, you're in third grade and you get headaches when you read, the words move on the screen or they go double when you read, and then you try to go to the next line and you end up on the same line, are you going to like reading? No. Are you going to read? You're going to avoid reading as much as possible, right? And so there's some patients who may have a eye teaming issue that's preventing them from reading efficiently. And sometimes they may be labeled as ADHD, right? Because they don't want to read or whatever, so they mess with their classmates, but they may have a vision issue. So what we do as optometrists, we can do vision therapy where we train the eyes to move better as a team so that reading is more efficient, effective, and they can get the information that they need from their schoolwork and stuff. So let's see what our scoreboard is. Leba is doing great. And Moment, Parsa, DS, Betty, and Georgia. All right, you guys are knocking it out the park. What does it take to become an optometrist after undergrad? 2-year optometry certificate, 3 years of optometry school, then residency, 4 years of optometry school, then optional residency, 4 years of medical school, then residency. It's number is, I guess number, it's color yellow or orange, whatever color that is. It's 4 years of optometry school, then residency, okay? It's not a certificate, okay? And it's not med school, all right? It's actually, optometry school is similar to dentistry when you go to dental school. That's basically what it's like. All right, where we at? All right, Betty. Good job. Moment is still holding it down, y'all, but I see Alhan, Leba, and Parsa. Good job, y'all. Which holiday has the highest incident of eye injuries? Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, or President's Day? 4th of July, exactly. Those bottle rockets are horrible. We are more on call for 4th of July than any other holiday. All right, Moment is knocking it out. Good job, y'all. How much money does an average optometrist earn a year? Its number is 150, okay? Optometrists on average earn 150. Now, starting out, if you remember, I said it was about 125 to 150. That's true, but just the average optometrist, regarding taking into the account how many years they've been in practice and that sort of thing, is 150. Your income potential goes up if you own your own practice, or if you're part of a practice that you own a piece of that practice, okay? Persons who go in and are hired by someone, like a either in a commercial practice setting or hired by an ophthalmologist, your income potential starts out high, but then it levels off after a few years, or what have you, okay? So just keep some of those things in mind there. I will say that ophthalmologists, they earn about double what we earn. So that those extra 4 years can, I guess, kind of mean a lot. All right, where are we at? All right, Moment still holding it down. All Hand and DS, Betty and Leba doing great. Last question, double points. Name one disease that can be detected by optometrists. Plantar fasciitis, cystic fibrosis, gingivitis, high blood pressure. High blood pressure, very good. Let's see where we ranked. DS, very good job. All Hand, perfect. And Moment, you guys did so good. You did so good. And runners up were Betty and Parsa. Fantastic. You guys did so great there. I'm going to stop sharing that one, and I'm going to move this one off. And I'm going to go back to my presentation and share that one real quick. And then we are good to go. Just on some other angle. Okay, we're going to get it right. Share. And then I have to switch screens and all this other stuff. Give me a moment. Okay, let's just move that over. And then I need to go right here. We did this one, and then switch this place. Here we go. All right, so what can I do as an optometrist? Well, I make cross eyes straight. I give sight to those who can't see. I improve looks. I can tell if you have diabetes, high cholesterol, cancer, even looking inside of your eye. I can improve your reading and math scores with BT. I can increase batting averages and stuff like that with sports vision. And I can increase quality life like no other. I am an optometrist. So here is my contact information. And so I guess we are ready for questions now. So I will stop sharing and we can go from there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Pepper. I did want to open it up for the students in the Zoom, since we do have a nice group today, nice small group. If anybody wants to unmute themselves and ask their question directly to Dr. Pepper, I'd like to invite you to do so. If not, you can go ahead and type your questions in the chat and we can read them for you.
Okay, starting salary for the OD graduate is anywhere between, oh, that was directly to me, but I'll still say it out loud. So the starting salary is anywhere between 110 to 150,000.
Dr. Pepper, what would you say is your most interesting case that you've come across thus far in your career?
So I'm going to tell you something. I've had so many, right? And it can either be on the pediatric eye care side or in the vision therapy side. The pediatric, on the vision therapy side is when I I had a 7-year-old boy who had an eye turn. His eye was turned in. And we started doing different activities and stuff with him. And he started coming in and saying, hey, I know how to make my eyes straight. And he would just do it. And we were like, what? This is a lot sooner than we thought it would be, because therapy takes some time or what have you. And he was just knocking it out the park. And so I told his mom, I said, well, since he knows how to control his eyes, there's no reason for him to come see us. Just tell him to keep his eyes straight. And she was like, thank you. I'm so excited. Or you can have some patients who was coming in and not doing well in school. And we did the different eye therapies and stuff. And then bam, they started to get more confident in school. Their grades started to improve, that sort of thing. So those are the warm moments in vision therapy that I love. For the pediatric side is when, and this is actually a little different, but sometimes we get patients, little kids who come in and say they can't see, but they can, but we don't see a prescription, right? So we're like, man, are they lying to us or what's going on, right? And so when we dig further, we find out that the kid is under a stressor, either that the one particular case I'm thinking about, the kid came in saying he couldn't see, even though we didn't see a prescription. And he came in with his grandmother, right? And he was the oldest of several kids. And the grandmother told us, when I asked her, hey, is there anything stressful going on in his life? She was like, yeah, the state just took their mother, took the kids away from the mom. And so with that stressor, because he was the oldest and was starting to have so much more responsibilities, and the instability of not knowing where his mother is, it actually gave him what we call a psychosomatic reaction, to where he couldn't see, but because we knew he had the structures there to be able to see, once he got therapy, his vision came back. So the being able to refer out to the psychologist, the psychiatrist to work with him, so that he's able to process those emotions and that it doesn't affect his sight, that one kind of blew me away. Okay, they're coming in. So we got that one. What do you think of iris implants? Child, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it like that. I will say this. There are technologies coming out to implant the eye with medicine, so that the medicine is coming in at a released time dosed time. Okay, I'm cool with that. An iris implant to change your eye color, I'm not down with that at all. Just go ahead and get you a cute contact lens, do it, and then take the contact lens off. Okay, who's in charge of hand painting contact lenses for an aesthetic case? That there's actually certain companies that do that. I don't do it. I don't paint that good. We send those out to those particular contact lens optical companies who hand paint it and stuff like that. Do optometrists work in emergency rooms at hospital settings? We're not in emergency rooms. We are in the hospital to do eye exams. And depending on between ophthalmology and optometry, who's on call. Now, there may be an optometrist or an ophthalmologist on call, but that's usually ophthalmology, okay? But we're not in the emergency room. We might be in another department and then, can do a consult that way. Thank you, Parsa. I know more about this profession now. Is shadowing optometrist required to get into optometry school? Yes. The reason why shadowing is required is because you got ophthalmology and opticianry. They all sound the same. So we need to make sure you know what you're getting into with optometry. So that's why we require it. So we require a letter of recommendation from an optometrist as well. So that's why it's easier to just shadow or work with an optometrist to get that letter of recommendation. Any other extracurricular requirements? There's no extracurricular requirements. However, we recommend community service, leadership experience, any advanced learning, like studying abroad or whatever, something like that. If you can do it, great, or what have you. Those are highly looked upon in high regard, but it's not required. What's one procedure you are against and wish patients didn't request? Okay, so here's my thing. I'm all for pretty lashes, okay? If your lashes are banging, it does something to your eyes, right? What I am against is getting lashes and then not taking care of. And then you coming in with styes and like your eyes all red and looking not pretty. If I can say that. So because I just want to make sure you have the proper eye care, lash care with your pretty lashes, okay? And then them huge lashes, don't do it. It actually, what we found is that when you have really big lashes like that, it affects your blink rate and it actually brings more air to your eyes, so it makes your eyes feel dry. So don't get them too big, okay? Get them just right. Dr. Pepper, why did I choose optometry over ophthalmology? I didn't want to go to school as known. That was my main thing. I did good, and it was the right decision. But I am fascinated with ophthalmology, with all the stuff that they learn and stuff like that. The only other thing too was if I got into medical school, I wasn't guaranteed ophthalmology. But if I got into optometry school, I was guaranteed to be an optometrist. You see what I'm saying? If I finished the work. But with medical school, I may not match for that particular residency or get that fellowship. So if I don't get it, and I done did these things in medical school, then what? So that was, I wanted something where it was more secure once I got accepted. Did I ever face doubts or not have support from your family or friends while on your path to becoming a doctor? Ooh, yes. Okay, so did I ever face doubts? Heck yeah. Man, do you know how many times I said I shouldn't be here after I was in there? When you get out of undergrad and into optometry, into a professional school, period, you know how when you're in high school, you're the smart one, and then in college, you're still the smart one. When you get in professional school and everybody's the smart one, oh, it does something to you because you're trying to figure out, where do I even fit in here? You know, and you're trying to figure out, okay, was I smart in this one? Was I dumb here? Like, should I be here? What's going on? That sort of thing. So absolutely, I had doubts. But I will say my family support was on 10, okay? My mom and my dad, they were 110, Janette, let's go. You can do it. It's all right. Come on, pick yourself back up. I know you didn't do well on this test, but come back and get it back, that sort of thing. So yes, that was very critical. That's why I have a heart for students now who go through the same things I did. To be honest, this is our finals week. I just counseled a student, 3 hours before I had this call with you all about how she didn't do well on the practical that I gave. And I had to talk to her about, I know this is not good. This doesn't feel good, but I think you're going to be a great eye doctor one day. Let's learn from this. Let's figure out how we can do better later. That's how it goes. Okay. How often do you encounter conversion orders like this? So I don't get them all the time. In a semester, I might get it once a semester. But when I do, so y'all remember, I was a psychology major. So now I look for it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Do I have any regrets about what, Nina? About just regular life or optometry?
Like, I guess, like, generally speaking, in optometry, like, is there anything that you would like to share with us so that maybe potential students going into this field, can kind of look out for stuff like that? It's a tough question. I know.
It is. It is. I don't know if I had any regrets on my path to optometry school, because things just aligned for me. I've been blessed. And I didn't tell you all this, but remember when I said that that I went to Shawnee Community College? My dad was the dean there. So I had a really good foundation in how to navigate undergrad to get to optometry school. So I wasn't a first generation college student. So that helped a lot. He's the same one that enrolled me in night classes in high school while I was playing softball and cheerleading and everything else. So, now I will say I probably did too much in high school. Oh, I do have a regret in optometry school. So those of you that are in undergrad, you know what I'm talking about when I say I took 12 credit hours, 15 credit hours, or something like that. That's like 5 classes, 3 credit hours. Optometry school, you come through the gate taking like 22, 23, sometimes 24 credit hours, right? My crazy self was working part-time while I was taking 20 some odd credit hours. I think I wore myself too thin, and I was doing work study. So I did work study and I worked part-time at a private practice outside of optometry. That was too much. Don't do that. Figure out something. You can maybe do a work study where you do a few hours here, a few hours there, but working part-time too, unless you have to, that wore me out. Favorite memory from optometry school. This is so I will tell you that optometrists are geeks, right? So this is a geeky one. I had to do a paper in contact lens, and I did it on pediatric contact lenses because I was interested in pediatrics. And I got an A on it. I worked so hard on it that I went to the library. So I went to school in optometry or in St. Louis, and also the American Optometric Association is based in St. Louis. So I actually went to the AOA's library and did my research and did it over spring break, mind you, right? But the work that I put in for that paper, that the professor gave me an A, and this is the one of the most detailed critical editor professors I've ever had. And he used my paper as a example to classes after me, right? I was like, I did that. I was really proud of that. Was there anything you didn't expect going into optometry? The amount of practice. So I told you we was taking optometry, or I was taking 20 some odd credit hours, right? Then on top of that, you got to practice. You have to practice these techniques over and over and over. So you know how you do labs now, like organic lab and micro lab and stuff like that. You do labs in optometry school, but you're practicing the procedures. So you got to know how to do these procedures, right? And then you get like graded on how do you do these procedures on a practical. I didn't know how much I needed to practice. I would practice a little bit and then I would get into the practical or to the examination. I'd be like, oh, I didn't practice enough because I messed up and it messed me up. Figuring out how much I had to practice was a big one. What's your favorite part about my job? I got 2 favorites. So I teach as well. So when I can impact a student's life, that's floats my boat all day long. Or when I can help a patient/parent in their journey in their education or their quality of life, that's top notch for me. Have I ever experienced burnout? Yes. What would be some ways to avoid burnout? What I figured out with burnout is that you give so much, you always have to take time to fill yourself up, right? So what does that mean? You have to pause and do things that make you happy. Now, for me, what makes me happy is I am a planner person. So let me show you. I have it right here. So me taking time out, like I got my electronic planner and all this other stuff, but the other things I do is I put stickers and stuff on my planner or like during my weeks so that it looks pretty when I look at it, right? Or I do this one. Here's another one, right? So I just like to have a planner that's pretty, that makes me happy. So I buy high quality stickers to do this. The other things I love to do is walk. And right now, I told myself after finals, I'm going to Home Depot and I'm getting me some more plants. That makes me happy as well. So those are the sorts of things that fill me up. And I'm starting to get into meditating and stuff so that I can find my center or whatever. What qualities do you think would make a good doctor? Caring for your patients. It doesn't matter if you don't get it right all the time. If that patient knows you care about them and you're trying, they're going to stick with you. If they know that you care about them, that's so huge. It's so huge. Care for your patients. Okay. Any advice on the Mcat? Haha, no regrets. Okay, Georgia. So if I didn't take the Mcat, I took the OAT. If I take the Mcat, what I would do now is try to take as many practice tests as possible. Just get in the mindset of this is what this test is like, okay? The more you practice that, practice the setting, the more familiar it would be when you take that test, okay? Now, of course, I would do, if they offer MCAT prep and all this other stuff, I would take all of that. But I would do as many practice tests as possible. Now, I wouldn't just take practice tests just to be taking them and just saying you're getting the same sort of grade. No, I'm taking the test to get more exposure to it. I'm taking the practice test, not the real one, the practice test. I'm taking the practice test to get more exposure, to see which areas I need to work on, see which concepts I'm just not getting. That's what I would do. Yes, Georgia. Oh, that's that other one. Okay. Are optometry school scholarships sufficient to help with the average amount of loans you have by the time you graduate from optometry school? It depends on the institution. If I talk about Southern College of Optometry for a little bit, we give more scholarships than any other school or college of optometry. There's about 23 schools or colleges of optometry. Our scholarships range from full rides to $500, $1,000, something like that. So is it sufficient to help? Yes. Are they sufficient to cover them all? No. Average our optometry school for non-regional tuition is about 38, 37, something like that a year. Okay. Dr. Pepper, what interested you in pediatric optometry as opposed to working with adult patients? I will tell you. Third year of optometry school is when I was exposed to pediatric patients. And I saw that I could build a good rapport with kids, right? I was good building the rapport. I just didn't know what I was doing, okay? In optometry school. And when I would talk to my peers about the things that they wanted to do about residency or what have you, nobody wanted to work with kids. I was like, this may be a niche for me, because if the doctor doesn't want to work with kids, I'll take all the kids. I thought it was going to help me to get a job, basically, to market myself as a optometrist, because I never really wanted to own my own practice. I was willing to work with someone or what have you, but I didn't want to own my own practice. And my third year, there was a doctor out of Wichita, and he came and spoke to our class, and he said, I have $1 million practice, and I only work 3 days a week seeing kids. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do what he doing. I got into this because I wanted to make some money, right? And what happened during my residency, doing pediatrics, I loved it, but my residency was based at a school. So you had to teach. I was lecturing and I was in labs teaching and stuff like that, kind of like a TA. And I caught the teaching bug. I didn't tell you all that I came from a long line of teachers. So my grandmother was a teacher. My aunts were a teacher. 3 of my uncles are teachers. My cousins are teachers. My other cousins are teachers. Like, I come from a long line of teachers. And I never thought I would be a teacher. But when I started teaching, I got that, man, I love this feeling. And that's why I stayed in academia. Okay, so is there any advice you can give when it comes to outside scholarships. If you see an outside scholarship that you qualify for, go for it. It's worth the time because it's money that you would otherwise wouldn't have. I say go for it. But I don't know how to harness or get those scholarships. You see what I'm saying? I will say this, there are more corporate entities that are in eye care that are starting to offer scholarships and stuff like that. But if it's like a civic group or what have you, as long as you meet the qualifications, go for it. It can't hurt. All right, I think that's the end of the chat, Miss Nina.
Awesome. I'd love to open this up to see if anybody has any final questions that they'd like to ask at this time. Now's your opportunity.
Well, here is my email. I just put that in the chat. If you have a question outside of today, just shoot me an email. I also work in recruiting, so I'd be happy to hear from you.
Awesome. I know that you mentioned you work in recruiting. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So I travel to different schools and do similar presentations. Usually I am traveling to schools to talk to health career organizations. There's not as many pre-optometry clubs. Usually I'm convincing people about optometry versus, if you know you want to be an optometrist, why our school is a great school to come to, that sort of thing. But I'm a minority recruiter. So I go to HBCUs and I talk to students about optometry.
That's wonderful. Dr. Pepper, do you have any final advice for the students joining us live and asynchronously today who are interested in going into your field?
Any final advice would be, doubts may come, but if this is in your heart, go for it with all you got. Okay? That would be my advice.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Pepper. It was an absolute honor to host you today. We got such amazing insight, and we're so grateful for having you support us during the continuous ongoing global pandemic and to have these opportunities available for students that will remain accessible even after the pandemic. So thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank y'all. That's sweet in the chat. I see y'all. Thank y'all so much.
For everybody that's interested in taking the post-shadowing assessment, do stick around. I'll be going over how to access this in our wrap-up presentation. While we do that, I'll just go ahead and share my screen. A big part of these virtual shadowing sessions is indeed reflecting. These are going to be the memorable moments that we'll be using for applications and just generally when, reflecting back on shadowing opportunities. And so I would invite everybody to reflect on these 3 questions that we have. And of course, these aren't the only ones. If you'd like to just write a summary of what you learned today, but what brought you to today's session? What are 3 major takeaways that you got from today's presentation? And what do you want to learn more about? Feel free to write these down if you're interested in getting published on the Pre-Health Shadowing website. You're also able to submit your reflections, reviews, success stories, and articles from today's presentation on the Pre-Health Shadowing website, www.prehealthshadowing.com/blog submissions. We do post a plethora of different topics on there. If it's related to healthcare, if it's related to pre-health shadowing, virtual shadowing, mental health, diversity and inclusion, feel free to check out our website. We are excited to feature various pieces of work from our pre-health shadowing community. Again, we are recruiting, so if you are interested in being a part of the pre-health shadowing team, you can visit our website. We have various positions open, ranging from project management positions such as lead managers within the leadership team, all the way to focusing on a specific topic such as grant writing or fundraising, even community wellness programs. So if you're interested in any of those, I encourage you to check out our website and see what it's all about. You can also email us at recruitment@prehealthshadowing.com for more information. If you're interested in volunteering your time, you get to create your own schedule, work 100% remotely, and meet with amazing people from around not only the US, but the world. You can visit our website for all of this information. I encourage everyone here to do so. If you are financially able to donate at this time, we humbly ask that you scan this QR code and help our program stay active. We do run solely off of the time and donations of our volunteers and would love to keep these resources free and accessible for everyone. So please donate. If you're unable to donate at this time, please share this with your family, your friends, and your community so that we can keep pre-health shadowing a reality for all. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, how to earn a digital certificate for attending a pre-health shadowing session. What you're going to do is visit the pre-health shadowing website, and you're going to find Dr. Pepper has a page on our website. I'll also go ahead and paste it in the chat. You can click through this and complete the presentation portion, which you currently have made it this far. So you can go ahead and click that you've completed this section. You'll then go to the take the quiz to get your certificate of completion. During this time, you'll have a post-shadowing assessment. You'll have 2 tries to pass with a 70% or higher. Upon doing so, you will receive a certificate with your name and the name of the professional, as well as the hours and date of the shadowing. You're able to use this to document your hours in the future for various programs that you're looking to apply for. And you can email info@prehealthshadowing.com to learn how you can address pre-health shadowing on your applications. If you missed any part of today's session, you can visit our YouTube channel, Pre-Health Shadowing, to watch any of the previous sessions for free, as well as replay this one if you missed any part. Be sure to catch our sessions every week. We do have a great array of professionals up on our website, so be sure to add the Google Calendar, never miss a session, follow us on social media, and subscribe to our email list. That is all for today. That marks the end of our virtual shadowing session. Thank you everyone for joining. Feel free to stick around if you have any questions about joining our team, and we hope to see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.